Scientists have solved many of the world's hardest mysteries, but their knowledge isn't infinite. And that truth applies not only to the mysteries of today, but also to some of the strangest finds uncovered from the past. When archaeologists find things they can't fully explain, they often rely on scientists to help uncover the truth. But there are times when even science reaches its limits. And what you're about to see in this video makes no sense in the eyes of our understanding. So, let's get started. Number 15. Nebraska's Devil's Corkscrews. In the late 19th century, weird spiral shapes began attracting people in parts of Nebraska. They looked like giant corkscrews buried in the ground, twisting downward through layers of sand and sediment. Local ranchers had already given them a strange nickname, and when geologist Irwin examined them, the mystery only deepened. Each spiral formed a long, winding structure beneath the soil. At the bottom, a barber often found the remains of small animals, and that made the formations even more puzzling. Were they natural geological shapes, or had something living created them? Over time, scientists suggested that an extinct rodent might be responsible. The animal, similar to a beaver, may have dug spiral burrows millions of years ago. The sand inside could have helped support the walls or regulate temperature. Even with that explanation, questions remain. And the size and shape of the spirals still seem unusual compared to modern burrows. They are still one of the strangest fossils ever found across the American plains. Number 14. Nabta Playa. Nabta Playa sits in what is now a very dry part of southern Egypt. Today, the area looks like an endless desert, but thousands of years ago, it was very different. Seasonal rainfall once created small lakes that attracted groups of herders moving through the region with their animals. And those early communities left behind something unusual, a carefully arranged group of stones forming a circular pattern on the ground. The placement of the stones doesn't appear random. Experts who were studying the site noticed that some of them line up with the position of the sun during the summer solstice. That alignment suggests the people who built it were paying close eyes to the sky. And because knowing when the seasons changed would have been extremely important for communities depending on rainfall and grazing land. What makes Nabta Playa very interesting is how old it is. The site predates many famous ancient monuments. It shows that even very early societies were observing the natural world closely and organizing their lives around those patterns. Number 13. Pocotia monolith. In Bolivia, the archaeologists studying ancient cultures have long debated the meaning of a carved stone known as the Pocotia monolith. The artifact stands covered in symbols and figures that wrap around its surface. At first sight, the markings appear similar to writing. Some researchers have suggested the shapes resemble characters from very early Mesopotamian scripts. If that interpretation were correct, it would imply contact between distant civilizations across vast oceans thousands of years ago. That idea naturally attracts attention because it challenges traditional views about how ancient societies interacted. Other scholars remain cautious. They argue that similarities between symbols can occur by coincidence, especially when cultures develop their own forms of marking stone. Without stronger evidence, it remains difficult to confirm any direct connection. Even with the debate unresolved, the monolith continues to draw curiosity. It reminds us how many questions about ancient history remain unanswered, and how easily a single artifact can open a conversation about humanity's past. It just makes no sense. Number 12. Loft Crew cairns. If you ever visit the hills around Old Castle in Ireland, you'll find something that doesn't quite fit the modern world. That's because scattered across the hilltops are old stone mounds known as the Loft Crew cairns. They were built thousands of years ago, and long before written history existed in Ireland. And no one knows the names of the people who built them, but they clearly meant something important. Inside some of the tombs, stones are carved with strange patterns, like swirls, lines, and shapes that no one can fully explain. These carvings weren't random decorations. Someone took the time to place them carefully, as if they carried meaning that mattered deeply to that community. One of the tombs has an especially curious feature. On the morning of the spring and autumn equinox, sunlight travels through the entrance and briefly lights up the inner chamber. That moment lasts only a few minutes. For thousands of years, people have stood there watching that light appear, wondering about the minds that designed it. Number 11. The Makapansgat pebble. Well, now, this is scary. At first glance, the Makapansgat pebble looks almost ordinary. It's small, smooth, and reddish, like countless stones scattered across the earth. But when you look closely, something curious appears. Natural markings on its surface resemble a simple human face. Two darker spots suggest eyes, and a faint line hints at a mouth. What makes this pebble extraordinary isn't the shape itself. It's the story behind how it arrived where it was found. Discovered inside a cave in South Africa during the 1920s, the stone lay among ancient remains linked to early human ancestors. The strange part is that the pebble does not naturally occur near that cave. Someone carried it there from many miles away, nearly 3 million years ago. No one carved it or altered it. Instead, scientists believe an early hominin simply noticed the face-like pattern and felt drawn to it. If that idea is true, the pebble may represent one of the earliest moments when a human ancestor recognized meaning in the world around them. On number 10. Viking reliquary. When Viking raiders seized a small reliquary from an Irish church, their actions upon returning to Norway were unexpected. This is because rather than dismantling the object to fashion jewelry, as they usually did with plundered treasures, they preserved it intact. Roughly the size of 4 stacked decks of cards, the box contained the sacred remains of a saint. Its survival in original form offers rare insight into Viking encounters with Christianity. And it was found in Overhalla near Trondheim in 1906, and this reliquary had been buried within a woman's grave, underscoring its spiritual value. As one of the few Christian artifacts known to have crossed the North Sea during the Viking Age, it illustrates a complex blending of belief systems. While Vikings braved deadly waters in pursuit of wealth, they also acknowledged the sea's dangers and perhaps sought holy protection. And this burial suggests a fusion of Norse tradition and emerging Christian influence, or maybe not. Number 9. Ancient fingerprints in Al Ain. At the Hili 2 site near Al Ain in Abu Dhabi, researchers were carefully studying ancient brick structures when they noticed something unexpected pressed into the clay. The marks looked familiar. They were actual human fingerprints. The impressions were made roughly 3,000 years ago when workers were shaping bricks for construction. Instead of smoothing the surface completely, they pressed their fingers into the wet clay. It appears the texture helped the mortar grip the bricks more firmly once the walls were built. Standing there today, it's strange to realize those marks came from ordinary people doing their daily work. Someone pressed their hands into the clay without knowing that thousands of years later, others would still see those ridges. The surrounding area also reveals a carefully designed irrigation system that once carried water through the settlement. It shows a community that understood how to manage resources in a difficult climate. But sadly, we know nothing about the people who built it. Number 8. Tarxien temples. Well, Malta is a pretty small island, but trust us, it holds some surprisingly old secrets. Among the most fascinating are the Tarxien temples. These structures were built more than 5,000 years ago, and at a time when most societies were still very simple. Yet the people here managed to create something carefully planned and surprisingly complex. The temples are made from huge limestone blocks arranged in curved spaces and open chambers. Walking through the site today, you can still see the layout of rooms where gatherings or ceremonies once took place. Some of the stones carry detailed carvings, spirals, animals, and patterns that were carefully cut into the surface using basic tools. And for a long time, the temples remained hidden beneath soil and debris. Local farmers eventually noticed unusual stones while working their fields, which led archaeologists to begin digging there in the early 20th century. The discovery changed how historians viewed Malta's past. So, history is not always correct. Number 7. Terracotta Army Chromium Puzzle. Most people know the Terracotta Army as the silent army buried with China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. Thousands of clay soldiers were placed underground more than 2,000 years ago to guard him in the afterlife. But when researchers started looking closely at the bronze weapons carried by the statues, something unexpected appeared. Some of those weapons seemed to contain traces of chromium on their surface. That detail caught attention because chromium plating is usually linked to modern industry, something people only began using widely in the 20th century. For a while, and this led to speculation that ancient craftsmen might have discovered a similar technique far earlier than anyone realized. Others argued that the chromium could have come from soil or preservation chemicals used during excavation. The discussion has never been completely settled. The army itself remains unquestionably ancient, yet the metal analysis continues to raise questions. So, do you have any theory about it? At number 6, Cappadocia and Terracotta. In the heart of Turkey lies a landscape that feels almost dreamlike. Tall rock towers rise from the valleys of Cappadocia, shaped slowly by volcanic eruptions long ago and centuries of wind and rain. These formations, often called fairy chimneys, give the region an otherworldly beauty. But the real wonder of Cappadocia isn't only what stands above the ground. For thousands of years, people discovered that the soft volcanic rock could be carved with patience and simple tools. Homes appeared first, followed by chapels, monasteries, and hidden passageways. Eventually, entire underground communities formed beneath the surface. One of the most astonishing is Terracotta, a vast underground refuge stretching deep into the earth. Families, animals, food stores, and meeting spaces could all be protected there during times of danger. Massive stone doors sealed the tunnels when enemies approached. Standing in Cappadocia today, it becomes clear that this place is more than beautiful geology. It tells the story of human creativity and survival. Number 5. Kapilavastu. Kapilavastu is often mentioned in stories about the early life of the Buddha. And long before he became a spiritual teacher, Siddhartha Gautama lived there as the son of a ruling family. And the city was part of the Shakya community and functioned as their political center during that period. Archaeologists today associate the ancient city with ruins found near the border between Nepal and India. The remains include defensive walls, building foundations, and traces of structures that were once part of everyday life in the settlement. These discoveries help experts figure out what the environment might have been like during Siddhartha's youth. According to traditional accounts, and he lived there surrounded by comfort and protection, shielded from hardship by his family. Eventually, however, he left the city in search of answers about suffering and human existence. Kapilavastu itself may appear quiet today, but it represents an important moment in history. Number 4. The ancient bolt found in Russian stone. In the late 1990s, a group of researchers searching for meteorite fragments near Moscow came across a strange object embedded in rock. At first, and it looked like a metal bolt, the kind you might see in modern machinery. What made it unusual was where it appeared. The surrounding stone was believed to be extremely old, formed hundreds of millions of years ago. Because the object seemed tightly enclosed inside the rock, some observers suggested it might be just as ancient. That idea naturally sparked curiosity and debate. Most geologists offer a different explanation, and they believe the object could actually be the fossilized remains of a marine creature called a crinoid. Parts of its skeleton can resemble mechanical shapes when preserved in stone. Even so, photographs of the find continue to circulate online, fueling speculation about ancient technology. Whether fossil or coincidence, this object still puzzles people around the world. Number 3. The Warka vase. Long before museums existed, artists were already telling stories in stone. And one of the most beautiful examples of that early creativity is the Warka vase, discovered in the ancient city of Uruk in what is now Iraq. Crafted from smooth alabaster more than 5,000 years ago, the vessel once stood inside a temple devoted to the goddess Inanna. At first sight, it looks like a simple ceremonial object, but a closer look reveals something remarkable. The surface carries a carved story that unfolds in layers as your eyes move upward. Near the base, flowing water and plants represent the source of life. Above them appear animals, calm and orderly, followed by people bringing offerings. At the very top stands the goddess herself, receiving these gifts beside a sacred shrine. This quiet arrangement reflects how the ancient Sumerians saw the world: nature supporting life, humanity offering gratitude, and the divine watching over it all. And number 2, the Sillustani tombs. Near Lake Umayo in Peru stands a group of tall stone towers rising from the landscape. These structures form the burial site, which is famously known as Sillustani. Long before the Inca Empire expanded across the Andes, another society lived in this region and built these unusual tombs. The towers are called chulpas, and each one served as a burial place for elite members of the community. Instead of placing graves underground, the builders constructed tall cylindrical chambers above the surface. From a distance, they almost resemble stone chimneys standing quietly beside the lake. Over time, many tombs were damaged by treasure hunters searching for valuables. Some even used explosives, leaving scars on the structures that still remain visible today. Even so, a number of the towers continue to stand, showing the skill of the original builders. Later, the Inca seem to have repaired or reused some of the tombs, and adding their own carefully cut stonework. The site still raises questions about the people who first created it. Number 1, the Sajama lines. In Bolivia, the earth carries quiet marks left by people who walked there long ago. These markings are known as the Sajama lines. From the ground, they appear as narrow pathways stretching across hills and valleys. From above, they reveal something astonishing: a vast network of perfectly straight lines crossing the landscape in every direction. And the paths were created by gently clearing away the dark soil that covers the surface, revealing lighter earth underneath. Over generations, these lines formed a web spreading across thousands of square kilometers. Many extend for miles without bending. Archaeologists believe ancient Andean communities used them as sacred routes. Travelers followed these lines during pilgrimages, walking between villages, ceremonial sites, and burial towers scattered across the high plateau. Even after new religions arrived in the region, the paths never lost their importance. They simply connected new places of worship while preserving older traditions. But who knows the truth? If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.